Everybody, you are just in time for What's Hot. This is where we talk about the stories that have everybody talking.
We are joined by Tracy Johnson from Tempo, Milwaukee, and Jeff Wagner's back. Topic 1, a 7th grader was suspended from school and could be expelled for shooting an airsoft gun. However, he was shooting the gun in his front yard while waiting for the bus. The principal said the boy and his friends were shooting pellet guns at each other and at people near the bus stop, but he didn't bring the gun to school. Has zero tolerance gone too far?
Well, I don't know if it's zero tolerance. This principal is an idiot, and there's just no other way to say it. I mean, look, I can relate to this because when I rode a bus to like grade school and middle school, the bus stop was right in front of my parents' house, so we hung out in the front yard, and you know, we threw snowballs at each other from time to time. I can remember every once in a while we'd get those lawn darts, the jarts, and we'd be playing that. I mean, there's no way I would have graduated from, you know, grade school if they had this rule in place.
Well, and that's the problem. This poor young man, you know, whether he made a mistake or not, I mean, this is going to be on his record. He is kicked out of school. But now when you look closer at the ordinance, I mean, it does say that you shouldn't be shooting this gun or doing anything with propulsion within 70 feet of a public place or a sidewalk. So he really was breaking the rules.
He's in his own front yard, though. I mean,
that's within 70 feet.
And this wouldn't have been a big deal if he didn't have that nosy neighbor who saw him in the front yard playing with the gun and ratted him out, saying, I'm not comfortable with what I see.
Yeah, I mean, he was in his own front yard. To me, that's the key. Now, look, this is a different story. If the kid gets on the bus with the airsoft gun, that's a different thing. Might even be a different story if he's out on a public sidewalk doing this or at a bus stop. But he was in his front yard. He had the blessings of, you know, his mother. I mean, where do you draw the line now? If these kids had been inside because it was cold and they were shooting the things then, would you penalize him?
There was a rule on the books, and I think that's where you have to go back and say, do we want to just slap this kid on the wrist? Is he a good kid? Let's look at this. You know, let's give some perspective to this.
But it's a dumb rule. You can't.
It's a dumb rule.
The rule makes no sense if you're trying to talk about private property rights.
Okay, but
he's not on public property.
Okay, well, let's put it this way: have you ever been shot with an airsoft pellet?
No. I haven't.
It doesn't feel good.
Okay, but
and they're messy.
But they're playing with it's each other. It's a bunch of kids that are playing with each other. It's sort of like assumption of the risk.
But they fly off. I guess now I'm actually seeing this the other side. And I think there might be some validity to this.
No, Tracy, go back to your first, but you were right in the beginning.
But here we go back,
this is just stupid, idiotic rule.
About 20 minutes ago, we were talking about the gun range in Delafield and the people in their homes that live around it, and this gun range being punished because these other homes don't want their safety at risk. If this neighbor thinks this pellet gun's going to endanger him, his wife, his kids, I don't know.
But that's why they have the rule.
This was a kid shooting at a target in the front yard playing Kill the Zombie.
Right. That's not why the neighbor called. The neighbor didn't realize these were airsoft guns. The neighbor was afraid these kids had real guns. I understand. I'm not necessarily going to fault the neighbor. The cops come out. But once you find out that they're like play guns, they're like squirt guns and stuff. Come on.
Well, I actually
go with your first instinct.
No, I'm in
agreement.
Right
at the beginning.
I'm thinking back to getting hit by an airsoft pellet. It does not feel good. So,
Tracy, you talked yourself into a bad position here. You were right. You should have gone with the first instinct, kiddo.
We'll let you two fight it out in the commercial break. Coming up.
And our viewers' choice topic of the day.
Again, we're joined by Tracy Johnson and Jeff Wagner from News Radio 620 WTMJ. Okay, your viewers' choice is all about landlords. The man who owns the site of the building where that porch collapsed last week owns a lot more buildings. A lot of them have problems. Since 2008, city inspectors found 197 code violations at just one building on Highland Boulevard. Do landlords need to be held more accountable for problems at their properties?
Absolutely. They need to be held accountable from the standpoint of getting fines. I think emotionally and mentally, this man is going to be feeling sorry for the harm that has been inflicted on his tenants. And of course, I think they definitely need to be held accountable. I know as someone who is a landlord, we make very sure that everything is up to par, we're kept up to date, and we spend a lot of money to make sure that it's safe.
See, this is a two-edged sword to me because in some respects, I think landlords get an unfair shake in some respects. You got problem tenants. It's almost impossible to get them out. You try to collect rent from back due. You try to, deal with things. And the city, in particular Milwaukee, makes it very, very difficult. Talk to lots of landlords, especially if you own multiple properties. They'll tell you that. Having said that, it's clear when you have people who own buildings that have repeated problems or situations where you find lots and lots of violations, that tells me you're dealing with a problem landlord. And then when stuff like this happens, I mean, let's face it, porches shouldn't be collapsing. They just shouldn't. And I think, you know, you look at where the responsibility is, it's got to start with the landlord.
Well, and two, when I was renting, you know, a college student, you don't think about these things. I mean, even if you are using common sense and you don't have 50 people sitting on that porch, you don't expect that this thing is going to collapse. I mean,
Right.
and on their side, you know, it doesn't cost that much money, and we're talking about people's lives here.
All right, last 90 seconds, lightning round time.
Okay, so what happens on the internet can be hard to erase. A new law in California will give teens a chance to erase embarrassing posts on social media. The goal is to prevent teens from being haunted by their digital past. Do you guys think this is a good idea?
There are so many aspects of my life that I would like a mulligan on. Yeah, I have no problem with this at all. But here's the truth. I hope it's not a false sense of security, because this only applies to certain types of websites. The truth is, you still take those naked pictures of yourself, put them out there. They're going to be out there forever.
Oh, wow, all those naked pictures.
Well, lots of kids are doing it now.
No, I know.
Okay.
Well, but really, when you think about it, I mean, the internet is one thing, and I don't think people live their lives one way on the internet and then a different way in real life. I think this whole internet, this perpetuates so many issues that are much bigger than what appears on the internet. And God bless the future generation, because I don't think the erase button is going to do a lick of good.
But I still, come on, aren't there moments, wouldn't we all like to push that erase button once or twice, huh?
We all want the undo, don't we?
So is this just for teenagers, or is this for everyone?
Teenagers.
Yeah, kids, I think that they didn't
websites.
know any better.
Yeah.
So they're going to use their resources to help
Just
them.
one more thing we're holding their hands on.
Yeah.
All right, the What's Hot discussion will continue online. You can find it at tmj4.com/hot.